Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Mike. I see a few people are logging in right now. This is just for a quick sound check, and you should see my title slide. So if you can hear me and you see my title slide, you can, under the question, the questions part you have to the right, you can just say, yes, I can hear you. Yes, I see you, just so I know everything's working. It's technology. Thank you. We'll get started in a few minutes. All right, so hello everyone. I'm going to thank you all for joining me this afternoon. I'm Dr. Michael Smith. I am the director and spokesperson for Life Extension. I love doing these webinars. This is some of my favorite stuff to do for the company. I am working from home, as many of you are. We're here in South Florida. We are following the stay-at-home mandate. And, we do have some employees at our headquarters because we are considered by the government an essential business. Supplements fall under the food category. But for the most part, most of us are at home. I'm in my home office. I'm a little out of sorts, and I apologize for that. I've already spilt my coffee twice today. but my laptop seems to be working. But of course, my landscapers are out there right now. You might hear them. And let's see. No, I think they're going to move on. But it is what it is. I appreciate your patience in all of it. Hopefully you can hear me clearly, so we can talk about some things, about some new nutrients that we're focusing on at Life Extension. We do this quarterly, by the way. We like to bring the education to you guys every 3 or 4 months, where we talk about some of the new stuff that we are focused on at Life Extension. And yeah, this webinar is not about immune support. I've done several videos. Maybe you've seen some of them. I do the Facebook Lives with my co-host, Dr. Gossert. You should definitely check those out. They are on our Facebook page. And there we talk a lot about immune support, staying healthy, eating right during this time. And because it can be challenging, we know that. But Life Extension is, we're still doing business. We're still formulating new products. You know, we're still disseminating great information for everyone outside of immune support stuff. So today we're going to talk about stem cells, bacteriophages, and a new take on digestive enzymes. So just some housekeeping stuff. To the right of your screen, for most people, I know in some systems it turns out to be on the left, but for most people on the right is a panel. And in that panel, there is a place where you can ask questions. I'm going to go through all the slides first. I just find that easier. But you can type your questions in at any time. And then at the end of the presentation, I will go back to the questions and answer as many as I can. You can also send questions to our social media team. If you go to our Facebook page from our website, you can just ask questions right there as well. And they answer usually within a few, well, I shouldn't say a few minutes. They usually do, but I think we're supposed to say within an hour or so. But they're really awesome. We have Brittany and Holly over there, and they are amazing and very knowledgeable. So you can ask your questions on that format as well. So I asked everybody for a sound check. It looks like most people, I think, at this point can hear me. Most people can see my slides. I get a bunch of yeses and stuff like that, so that's great. At any time, if you lose contact, if the sound goes out, if your screen freezes, the best thing to do is just close it, click the link again, and come back in, and that usually solves the problem 99% of the time. All right. So let's go ahead and get started with today's topics, and we're going to start with something that's important to us as a company, and that's stem cells. Stem cells help to promote healthy cellular renewal. Now, I will tell you, I guess when I was in medical school, this is back in the early 90s, you know, we were just really learning about these stem cells. Now, we already knew that in the embryo, like when we're developing as a fetus, the embryo to the fetus, there's stem cells there. And many of you have probably heard that, right? The embryonic stem cells. And so we understood that these are cells that with the right communication, with the right environment, the right chemical signaling molecules, they can turn into all the different tissues in the body, right? Nerve cells, heart cells, lung cells, you know, what have you. But we were just beginning when I was in medical school to start appreciating that the fact that as adults, we have what we call adult stem cell populations. And obviously it's not in developing an embryo to a fetus anymore. It's these stem cells as adults are really there to help replenish tissues that have become diseased and damaged. And so a lot of research starting, gosh, I want to say I was definitely out of residency, but I would say late 90s, early 2000, a lot of research started looking at, are there ways for us to manipulate the adult stem cell population? Are there things we can do to help the adult stem cells that all of us have. Everybody listening to this webinar right now, you have a population of these adult stem cells circulating in your body, ready to become a liver cell, a heart cell, a brain cell, to replace damaged ones. A lot of research went into how can we influence the population of these cells so that they can be better at replacing diseased and damaged tissue. And so we've learned a lot about stem cells. I'm going to share with you some of the key things that we are looking at Life Extension and how we can use natural substances to actually influence, you might even say optimize, the health of the adult stem cell population that we all have. So again, what are stem cells? Stem cells replace dead or damaged cells to maintain healthy tissue function. So this is just a simple diagram, right? A stem cell ultimately, through a very complex process, can become a muscle cell or an immune cell or a nervous cell, etc. And so you have these cells, obviously, when you're developing as a fetus, right, to make all your organs. But what we didn't appreciate many, many decades ago is that even adults have a population of stem cells that circulate throughout your body and are ready and willing to become whatever they need to become to replace damaged cells and tissue. But there's, if that's the case, you might ask, well, then why do we degenerate? Like, if I have a population of adult stem cells, okay, why aren't they doing their job? Why, if I have a heart attack or a stroke, or if I have kidney issues, liver damage, whatever that is, if I truly have an adult stem cell population, why aren't they replacing those damaged organs? What's going on? You know, why do we age? Why do we degenerate? So there's a big flaw in the stem cell population. It's that they can also become damaged by the aging process. So as we age, not only do the cells that are differentiated, cells that are differentiated to be liver cells, heart cells, brain cells, not only do they become damaged through a multifactorial process as we age, well, the stem cells are susceptible to those same processes that cause us to age. So we end up with an adult stem cell population decade after decade, 40 to 50, 50 to 60, you know, so on, that becomes damaged and not quite, maybe these stem cells are still willing to replace damaged tissue, but they're just not quite able anymore. And that's the big flaw in the adult stem cell population. So here's, man, what a great question, right? This is what the researchers at Life Extension, some of my good friends, have been looking at for a long time. Lots of research, lots of papers being published. So we asked this question, okay, I accept that. How can we change that? How can we create or develop or improve the health of the stem cell population in aging adults so that they are not only willing to replace damaged tissue, but able to replace damaged tissue? That's a great question. And a lot of research continues on it. Of course, we look at it from a natural medicine perspective, right? You guys know Life Extension. We're looking at it from plant-based extracts. We're looking at it from the basic micronutrient perspective. What's already out there in nature? What's already out there in good food that might be able to influence our adult stem cell populations to make them healthy? So in order to better understand all this, we kind of had to back up a little bit, right? We had to kind of back up and say, well, what is it then? Like, what does a stem cell need to be healthy, even as we age? Like, what are the pathways inside our cells that we need to maybe help optimize that could help to keep a stem cell healthier, right? Decade to decade to decade. And through a lot of research over many years now, You can see all the different references that I used here for this slide. Here's kind of what we know today, and I say it that way, everyone, that this is what we know today. This is what's so awesome about science and medicine. I mean, it's constantly evolving. And so this is the snapshot picture of what we understand today that a stem cell needs to stay healthy, right? And again, let's don't get lost in the details. Why do I want a healthy stem cell? Because that cell is going to be able and willing to replace damaged tissue. So number one, we know that there are two key anti-aging pathways inside a cell. One is called the AMPK pathway. The other one is called mTOR. We're not going to get into the details of these pathways. I've talked about AMPK before a lot. Some of you have probably seen some of my videos and lectures on it, but AMPK basically is the energy master switch inside each cell, and it's a pathway that helps a cell to decide when it needs to make energy and when it needs to store energy, and that's actually a very important decision inside your cells. That pathway begins to kind of break down as we get older. As a matter of fact, Life Extension has formulated natural ingredients to help ramp up the AMPK pathway, and I think that's important. So you got this energy pathway on one side, but then you got this other one called mTOR. Now, mTOR, very complicated. mTOR is one of these pathways that, when activated, does a lot of different things. And in the right environment, in a healthy environment, mTOR pathway can actually help to keep cells healthy and young. mTOR is involved with insulin sensitivity pathways, cell cleaning pathways, DNA protection pathways. It's very complex. But mTOR also, in the wrong environment, as we get older, we're not eating well, we're stressed out, can actually overactivate and cause actual damage. So mTOR is kind of classified as, this is my humble opinion, is kind of for me is kind of classified as both anti-aging and pro-aging, depending on the state of the cell, the state of the tissue, all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, what we have learned is that stem cells need a good balance between understanding how to use energy and understanding how to clean itself up. So balancing AMPK and mTOR is a key first step in keeping stem cells healthy. Now, that was a real simple explanation of these two pathways. Life Extension has written articles about both of them. Just go to the Life Extension website, type in AMPK, type in mTOR, and you'll find articles and blogs and our e-zine, which is our newsletter. You'll find reviews and summaries about those two pathways, and that might help you a little bit. But we need to balance these two. The second thing, and this kind of stems off of mTOR, is stem cells need to be able to support cellular cleanup. Think of it this way: you have this cell, this adult stem cell, right? That's part of this larger population, but just focus on one cell. You know, this one cell, you know, it could have been made in your 20s. And this one stem cell is floating around and floating around and floating around, but it still needs to make energy. It still needs to metabolize. It still needs to do all the basic things a cell does to be viable and to live. Well, we already know that basic life processes cause things like inflammation and oxidative stress and free radical damage and all this kind of stuff. And all of that, those things that cause us to age build up inside the cell. So we know that stem cells, to be viable, to be healthy, they also have to be able to clean up things. They have to be able to get rid of that gunk inside their cells. So that's an important step in what stem cells need as well. The third thing we learned is that stem cells need a group of genes called sirtuins. I think if you've been with Life Extension for a while, you probably have heard about this, right? The SIRT genes, the sirtuins. I mean, these are your classic anti-aging genes. There's several of them. I think to date, gosh, I think I haven't looked at this in a while. I think to the last I checked, we've identified 7, 9. I have to double check. 7 or 9 of these sirtuins, these anti-aging genes, What I mean by anti-aging is these are genes when they're activated inside your cell, they provide proteins that protect. They provide proteins that help to ease inflammation, that help to improve insulin sensitivity. They provide proteins that help to protect the cell membrane, that kind of stuff. That's why they're so important. We've learned about these genes ultimately through calorie restriction, and we've written a lot about that as well. You restrict calories, it's kind of a stressor on the body, and that helps to activate these anti-aging genes. And so we know that stem cells really do rely a lot on these longevity proteins to support healthy DNA, healthy metabolism, and stuff like that. So that's the third thing. And then the fourth thing is really interesting. I'm going to spend a little more time on this fourth one because it's something more novel, new. Stem cells need they need to be able to read the DNA that's inside them really well. And think about this for a sec. A stem cell ultimately has the potential of becoming any other type of cell, right? Remember that slide I just showed you at the beginning? A stem cell could go down a pathway that leads to becoming a liver cell. Or a stem cell could go down a pathway that could lead to becoming a kidney cell. And there's different genes involved in all that, right? So in a liver cell, certain genes have to be turned on, but certain genes have to be turned off. For instance, you know, if you're a liver cell, you need all the liver genes, but you don't need the kidney genes. I'm way oversimplifying this, but I think it works, right? Hang in there with me. So if you're a liver cell, you have all these active liver genes that help you to be a liver cell, but there are some genes maybe you don't need so much, let's say heart genes, kidney genes, whatever, and those are kind of turned off in you. But a stem cell, to be ultimately viable and healthy, it has to be able to read all those genes because you never know what it might need to do. Liver, kidney, heart, whatever. So a stem cell has the added responsibility that other differentiated cells don't have of being able to really read, to unravel DNA and read specific genes that it needs to become whatever tissue it needs to become, and then it can turn off those ones it doesn't need. Boy, I hope that helped. I hope that made sense. And so this is and this is all about then, you know, being able to read the DNA. It's about what we call histone modification. And we're going to talk a little bit about what that is because I just find this really cool. So these are your again, snapshot picture today. These are what stem cells need. Balancing certain aging pathways, anti-aging pathways, cleaning up, activating the sirtuins, the anti-aging genes, and then being able to read DNA. That's, at the end of the day, this is what we need. And this has come from a lot of research over the years. This is what we need to have healthy stem cells. So Life Extension is like, okay, let's do what we can. Let's formulate something that allows us to influence these four things in a positive way that then promotes a healthy adult stem cell population. I'm going to talk a little bit about the reading DNA thing. I don't know. It's cool. I like this kind of stuff. So, and this is, again, this is just to recap. A stem cell has to be able to become whatever it needs. Whatever the body needs, the stem cell has to be able to step up and say, I can become that kidney cell, or I can become that lung cell. I can become that heart cell, right? That's what a stem cell has to be able to do. And that means it has to have access to all the DNA. But DNA just isn't open like that. DNA is huge. If you put all the DNA together in your body, I don't know, there's stats out there. It's supposed to be like many miles. I don't know. But whatever, it's huge. And so in order to be able to fit all the DNA inside one little cell, they have to wrap and wrap and wrap and wrap. And what does DNA wrap around? It wraps around these things called histones. These are like proteins that kind of group or clump together, and the DNA can wrap around that. So you're able to store lots of DNA in one little cell. That's why we have histones and we wrap the DNA. But that causes a problem for the stem cell. so most of the DNA is wrapped up. Now, if you're a liver cell, most of the DNA is wrapped up except those genes that you use as a liver cell. But the genes for kidneys and the genes maybe that a brain cell uses, those tend to be more wrapped up because the liver cell is not engaging those genes to make those proteins. It doesn't need them. So now you can see the problem though. If you're a stem cell, you got to be able to see all of it. Maybe you're going to be called up to become a kidney cell. You got to be able to see those kidney genes. So a stem cell has to be able to read the DNA, right? And there's what we discovered in this is one of the things that, at least one of the things we know of today that prevents a stem cell from really getting into the DNA and reading it is something called histone acetyltransferase. It's an enzyme. It's referred to as HAT. HAT is this enzyme that keeps the DNA tightly wrapped. And so if you have a lot of this enzyme, this HAT enzyme inside your cell, a lot of your DNA that cell's really not using is going to be like wrapped up really hard. So what we find for stem cells is they got a lot of their DNA wrapped up, and it's kept closed by this enzyme called HAT. So what we thought is, okay, what if we can do things that decreases HAT? Would that enhance stem cell function? So and this is what we found. Garcinol. It's the kokum fruit. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that or tried that. That's a picture of it, the kokum fruit. From what I understand, it's delicious. I've never tried it, but just from what I've read and stuff. But the kokum fruit has this compound in it. It's a flavonoid antioxidant, and it's called garcinol. And it helps the cells read the DNA. It helps to decrease that activity of HAT, so the stem cell can loosen up some of that DNA. And that way, if the stem cell needs to become a liver or a kidney, whatever, it's able to access those genes so it can go down those metabolic pathways to become that liver cell or that kidney cell, etc. So garcinol is a compound that we are extracting from kokum fruit that we are using to help stabilize and optimize the health of your stem cell population. Now, remember those other things stem cells need, right? So reading DNA was just one of them, right? The other one that was in there was activating the sirtuins, the anti-aging genes, right? Calorie restriction is a great way to do that, but most of us aren't going to do that. And so we have resveratrol, right? We've had resveratrol for what my dad calls the red wine supplement. Is the only one he'll take. I don't know why. Yeah, so resveratrol, it's falls under a class of compounds called stilbenes, and well known to activate sirtuins, but also helps to balance AMPK and mTOR. Remember, that was that first thing I talked about. And resveratrol has been shown to enhance mitochondrial function, which is important for aging stem cells as well. And then we have passion fruit seed, pisatinol. This is also a stilbene. It's under the same family as resveratrol. And this one's really good at working for the cell cleanup. Remember, that's important too. Some of these adult stem cells are getting a little old. They need some help cleaning up, right? So we have passion fruit seed, which is going to help with the cleanup. So you have this idea that adult stem cells are there, they're circulating in our bodies, but they undergo damage just like all normal cells do as we age. We then ask the question, how can we help to support a healthy adult stem cell population? And in order to do that, we had to ask ourselves, well, what do stem cells need? And they need AMPK mTOR balancing. They need to be able to clean themselves up. They need the sirtuins. They need to be able to read DNA. So we've put together a complex formula of natural ingredients that we believe are going to support the pathways in the gene activations and the reading of DNA that's going to help your adult stem cells stay healthy so that they can do their ultimate job, which is to replace damaged tissue. That is our stem cell formula, and we're really excited about this. We are a longevity company, so we really get into that kind of stuff. Okay, so if you have any questions there, take a moment. You can write them down. I'm gonna take a quick water break. I'll come back to the questions at the end. And remember, you can also go to Facebook. If you don't know how to get there, just go to lifeextension.com. And if you scroll all the way down to the end of the page, you'll see the icon for Facebook. Click on it, and you can just ask your questions right there as well. Okay. Now, this next topic I think is really important for us to talk about. This is probiotics with what we call bacteriophages, removing harmful bacteria for better results. So we know most of you are familiar with probiotics, right? Healthy gut bacteria. They help, sorry, my dog just came in. They help promote digestive health through multiple mechanisms, et cetera, et cetera. I think most of us understand the importance of healthy bacteria to keep us healthy, right? And then on the other hand, you have these things called bacteriophages, which are virus-like, right? Bacteriophages basically can devour bacteria. They were ultimately the first antibiotics that were used, especially in Eastern Europe and Russia in the 20s and 30s. Lots of great research on bacteriophages came out of Russia during those times. They ultimately kill bacteria, and they're very species specific, meaning just like viruses that hit us, right? A certain bacteria will be able to latch to a certain E. coli strain that maybe causes diarrhea. But that one bacteria will not invade a different E. coli or a Clostridium or something like that. So they're very species specific. Life Extension is combining these two. And let me share with you why. Here's what we've learned. We know that we want to have a good balance in our gut microbiome. We want to have a lot of good, healthy gut bacteria that promotes a healthy digestive system. You're only as healthy as your gut, right? Plus there's whole body benefits. But here's something we learned. Poor diets, toxins, chronic stress, all these things that we deal with in today's world, right? These kind of things actually favor more of the harmful bacteria. Harmful bacteria like E. coli, they're aggressive. They're able to they're hardy. Maybe that's a better word. They're hardy. They're able to live and thrive in a gut environment that's damaged with minimal nutrients. And the good guys can't. Healthier bacteria, given the state of how we eat, how we live today, the good bacteria just really can't keep up. They can't compete with the harmful bacteria for the limited nutrients. And this creates an imbalance in the gut microbiome. And so even if you're taking probiotics, the healthy guys, every day, I guess what we believe, our theory, our hypothesis is maybe you're replacing daily the healthy guys that die off, and that's better than doing nothing. But are you really rebalancing your gut microbiome to a healthier state? Or are you just replacing the dead good guys every day? We think we're just, given today's environment, given today's stress levels we're at, the health of our gut is so damaged that when we take daily probiotics, we're probably just replacing the dead good guys. We're not really creating a true rebalancing of the gut microbiome towards health. And that's where the bacteriophages come in. Again, I already mentioned these were like the original antibiotics. They will kill and remove harmful bacteria like E. coli. They will provide healthy bacteria with a competitive advantage to restore a healthy microbiome. It's very simple. We take the normal strains of probiotics that we use, we add to them strains of bacteriophages. And the ones we're using are ones that target 4 different strains of E. coli that cause disease. Now, you might think to yourself, but wait a second, why? I don't have a gut disease right now. I don't have diarrhea. I don't have something like that. Well, you may not actually have a symptom, but there's a good chance, based on how we live, based on how we eat, there's a good chance that you still have some of these disease-causing E. coli in your gut. And they may not be causing disease symptoms, but they are making it really hard for the probiotics that you're taking and spending a lot of money on to thrive. So we add these bacteriophages that can target 4 specific strains of E. coli, remove them, allowing the good guys that you're taking, the good bacteria, to now actually thrive. I think this really needs to be like where we go next with is there a next innovation for probiotics? Yeah, it's adding bacteriophages, right? It's helping to remove those unwanted bacteria to create an environment now that the good guys can thrive. This is the next step, the next phase of probiotic therapy. So probiotics plus bacteriophages equal better balance. The combination will help healthy gut bacteria restore a balanced microbiome for improved digestive support. The bacteriophages can actually remove harmful bacteria from the digestive tract. And then, of course, you can experience even more whole body benefits, right? Heart, immunity, easing inflammation. All of this could improve better as well. So Life Extension right now is really a big proponent of a combination of probiotics and bacteriophages. All right, go ahead and if you have questions, take a moment. Another water break for me. Go ahead and write your questions down. So far, everything seems to be going good in my home office. My dog, his name is Charlie. Where is he? And I think he's under the desk. He's a 5-month-year-old English golden retriever. So he's more cream and white. And he's already hitting close to 50 pounds. He's going to be a big boy. He's already eating a lot. But he's doing good. He's just hanging out. He's very sweet. Okay, let's move on. Lastly, I want to talk about digestive enzymes. I know this may sound boring at first. Digestive enzymes, I know what they do. But Life Extension is formulating digestive enzymes a little differently now, and I'm going to share with kind of what our thought is and what we're doing here. Oops, looks like I had 2 title slides. Digestive enzymes, just real quick, we know they break down food, right? They break down the food into the smaller building blocks, right? So you break down the fats, the proteins, and the carbohydrates, which are called the macronutrients, into those building blocks, or what you might call micronutrients. Aging can affect the production of digestive enzymes. We just don't make as much as we do. And declining enzymes can cause undigested food to pass into the large intestine. And that's where people start feeling gassy and bloaty and all that kind of stuff, even impaired immunity and nutritional deficiency. So we got to have digestive enzymes. It's how we release the nutrients from our food, end of the day. So digestive enzymes, probiotics, key nutrients for all of us to take if we're serious about staying healthy. Because again, you're only as healthy as your gut. Boom. here's here's the problem, and it was not a problem. It's a good problem, right? More and more people, especially those of us that are into nutrition and into this industry, which most of you that are on this webinar are, that's why you're here. You are trying to eat better. You are trying to increase your more plant-based foods in your diet. Maybe some of you are vegans, vegetarians. Maybe you're like me, who just tries to follow the Mediterranean diet, where I'm just trying to eat more legumes, more nuts, more seeds, stuff like that, more greens. I don't know. I think I've told this story on some webinars before. My mom's side of the family is 100% Albanian and Greek. It's kind of a mix. And I remember going to my grandma's house, and she would, like, for Sunday dinner, and the amount of food she would make was unreal. But I remember looking at it, and it looked like this picture. A vast majority of what she was making was vegetables and legumes and leafy greens and stuff like that. And I think that's probably why the Greeks and everybody on the Mediterranean basin live so long. I don't know if it's so much the red wine that people claim, or is it the food? I think it's the food. And so more of us, Life Extension recognizes that more and more of us are trying to eat like that. I do think a good ratio is 80% plant-based, 20% meat, animal-based. I think that's a good ratio. That ratio has been shown to improve cardiovascular health, as an example. And so as we're doing that, though, that means we are bringing into our system, our digestive system, things that are hard to digest. We're bringing in more fibrous food sources. That's tough to eat. I saw this statistic the other night about gorillas, because most of their diet is plants and trees and leaves and stuff. They spend half their day just chewing. Yeah, they spend half their day and half their energy basically just chewing, because you gotta chew that food so much so they can actually pull out those nutrients and digest the good stuff. And so if we're going to be increasing plants and legumes and beans and all this kind of stuff, and we're getting older, 50, 60, 70, we know that our own digestive enzymes probably aren't going to be able to handle that. And so Life Extension is really looking at formulating a digestive enzyme formulas that are including enzymes, digestive enzymes, that are going to help us to break down these foods from more of the plants that we're eating. High fiber diet, please increase fiber as much as you can. You should know how much fiber you get every day. You really should. I don't know. I work with a lot of RDs. A good friend of mine, Dr. Gossert, who does the Facebook Lives with me. She's a doctor of clinical nutrition. I mean, they all tell me 20 to 30 grams a day. That's a lot. I know most of us aren't even getting 10. You should know your number, and it's going to be different for everybody, but you should try to test yourself. Spend a week or two and really eat a lot of fiber. Push that fiber intake up. Keep increasing every day more and more fiber. And then when you hit that point where it's really tough on you, that's probably the amount that you need every day. For me, it's about 40. I can do about 40 grams of fiber a day. Can't go much above that. But as I get older, that number, that 40 for me, may become 35 grams and then 30, because I just can't handle it anymore. I can't digest that stuff. And that's where supplementing with specific enzymes now, not just ones that you find in traditional digestive enzyme formulas where they break down fat, protein, carbohydrate. We're talking about adding specific enzymes that help us to break down more of that fiber, that fibrous stuff that's so good. And there's great nutrients. There's lignins. God, wonderful lignins, so healthy for us, but they're buried in some of that fibrous protein, and you're not releasing that into your gut. So really what we want to do is add enzymes that will help you to break that stuff down. And so as I get older, if I take this formula, the goal would be I can stay at about 40 grams of fiber every day, even when I'm 70 and 80, well, 90 maybe, I don't know, God willing, 100. So Life Extension is really focusing a lot on enzymes to help us break down fiber, right? Difficult to digest polysaccharides found in plants. We have, we're now using hemicellulose, pectinase, xylanase, and cellulase. All of these enzymes are specific to difficult to digest polysaccharides. And all of these enzymes help to break down compounds in these foods that if you don't break them down and you're eating them, they're not going to make you feel good. and plus you're not getting the nutrients out of it then as much as you could. So we're really now shifting towards formulating these types of enzymes, knowing that many of you are trying to increase plants, and we want you to get all of the nutrition out of plants. And that's why we think adding these enzymes to our basic formulas are very, very important. There's another one. More of us are eating beans, legumes, you know, even cruciferous vegetables more. Hopefully you're not getting them out of a can. I just noticed that the image was a can. Hopefully you're getting fresh. By the way, fresh is the best way to go. Fresh vegetables, right? Fresh beans, wash them before you cook them, that kind of thing to really make them plump up. But if you have to, frozen is your next best bet. And then cans would be third. But one of the enzymes that we're focusing on is really for legumes and beans, and it's called alpha galactosidase. And we really believe that this one helps to break down these complex sugars that you find in legumes and beans and cruciferous vegetables. And we believe that those sugars, those complex sugars called oligosaccharides, are really what cause a lot of our discomfort after you eat, bloating, flatulence, that kind of stuff. So we've added alpha galactosidase also to the formula as well. There's, you know, gluten's an issue for a lot of people. And so we know that the gliadin, which is really the protein of gluten, is found in a lot of wheats and other grains, and many of you are trying to eat more whole grains. So we've added a protease that helps to break down these gluten-based proteins better. And so that might be helpful for people with gluten sensitivity or intolerance as well. So it's really just trying to be as complex as we can, and not just breaking down the fats, the sugars, the proteins, but really focusing on those of us who are trying to increase fibrous plants into our diet, and even whole grains and stuff, and knowing that we have some problems as we age with breaking those down. And so we're really now moving our research and our formulations into some of these lesser known digestive enzymes. Of course, we still are providing the basic proteases, lipases, stuff like that, for breaking down the basic fats and sugars and stuff. So that's still part of the formula as well. There is an enzyme for dairy, as many as you know. Some people are lactose intolerant, so we're also adding lactase, which helps to break down the milk sugar. So really what we're putting together is one of the most comprehensive digestive enzyme formulas that you're going to find. And it's really geared towards those of us who are really focusing on that 80% plant, 20% meat. There is one question. There's an enzyme that you will find in a lot of digestive formulas called amylase. Amylase breaks down starches. So these are your pastas, your rices, stuff like that. And so we've been asking a question, do we really need that? Most of us, I mean, most of Life Extension's research has been helping people to slow down the absorption of the simpler sugars that come from starches, trying to help minimize sugar spikes after we eat. So we've decided to remove amylase from our formulas because, first of all, most people are still able to digest starches pretty good. We just don't want to speed up that process. We don't want to, on one hand, tell you you need to minimize sugar spikes, and we offer a variety of nutrients to do that, but then we give you amylase and a digestive enzyme that throws in more of the simple sugars into your system faster. So we are not using amylase, and that is and we do believe that's based on really good science. So again, I want to thank everybody for joining me. We talked about stem cell rejuvenation. We talked about bacteriophages for better balance. And we talked about really a much needed, more comprehensive digestive enzyme formula. You can watch this webinar again anytime you want on demand. And there's other webinars also you can watch at lifeextension.com/webinar. lifeextension.com/webinar. And if you like what you see there, take that URL and send it to your friends. The information we provide is all science-based. You know, it's all based on rigorous research, most of it clinical research, and it's there just to learn. So please, if you enjoy what you see there, and we're building the page. I think this will be the 4th or 5th webinar, so we're going to continue to build this. But you can find it there, lifeextension.com/webinar. And pretty soon, I think tomorrow morning, for those of you watching, you'll receive an email with some really good information that you don't want to miss from Life Extension. So let me go ahead and see what kind of questions we have. Give me a moment here to pull it up. Field here. All right. So yeah, a lot of questions came in. Again, I'm going to answer a few. Please just do, if you want an answer right away, go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/lifeextension. Or you can go to our homepage, lifeextension.com, go all the way down to the bottom, scroll all the way down, and to the right, you'll see a little Facebook icon. You can click on that and ask your question. So here we have, so first of all, let me get something out of the way. Bob is asking a question. What is the name of the stem cell formula? Guys, listen, FDA requirements, if I'm presenting nutrients, and in science, and I'm talking about diseases, I cannot give the names of, I can't do that. I can't give branded products. So go to Life Extension Facebook page, and they'll give you that answer right away. So here's Phil. Can glyconutrients aid in the cellular communication of histone modification? So can glyconutrients help with histone modification? I don't think so. Glyconutrients, for some of you that don't know, these are basically sugar protein molecules that act as signaling molecules between cells. Phil, I'd have to check that out, but I don't think so. Most of the histone modification is really about decreasing that enzyme called HAT. That's where the research is focused. Lizette has a great question. Can bacteriophages remove healthy bacteria? So there are billions of bacteriophages. Think of them like viruses. And there might be some bacteriophages out in nature that do target some of the healthy guys. But that is not what's in the formula. We're only using research-based bacteriophages that target only those E. coli strains. Remember, I said this at the beginning, the bacteriophages are very species specific, just like viruses are that hit us, right? Very species specific. So these bacteriophages are gonna only latch on to E. coli. They don't have affinity. They can't bind to the healthy guys in your gut. Great, great question. Ursula wants to know which other strains besides the E. coli do the bacteriophages remove? Well, again, we're only using bacteriophages that are removing the E. colis because there's 4 E. coli strains that research shows most of us have. Even though they may not be causing disease, we have them in our gut. They're just there, and they're taking up all the nutrients. So we're targeting those E. coli strains. There are other bacteriophages that might remove other harmful bacteria, but we don't think those are as effective because it's really the E. coli strains that are causing most of the problem for us. Let's see. Some of these questions are really long. All right. Here's David who wants to know, how does one incorporate dietary changes / improvements to achieve the benefits described in the webinar? So focused more on food, right? I think that's what you're asking, David, right? Like, so I went over a lot of nutrients, right? About how to help stem cells, for instance. Well, I think there are the fruits there. We also know that melons have some of these same compounds like the gardasil. So more melons in your diet would help stem cells. When it comes to the bacteriophages, that's just different. That's not really dietary. You actually have to supplement with that. But I think again, you know, doing some basic things to help modify the aging process, David, the exercise, the plant-based diet of 80 to 20, right? 80% plant, 20% animal. I think that's important. Mediterranean-based diet is key. More legumes, nuts, stuff like that. All of that kind of stuff, stress reduction, better sleep, etc. All of that does help stem cell population. It does help your digestive system. But we also know that sometimes we just need a jump start in some of that. We need to fill in the gap a little bit, and that's where these specific extracts, I believe, can help. How can, this is Alexander, how can a vegan diet be healthy since it requires supplementation with B vitamins, additional amino acids, and omega-3s? Also, what about, I think, lecithins? I can't really see with it. But, well, I don't want to get in debate about which diets are healthier and stuff. I mean, a vegan diet can be healthy. You can get a lot of good protein from plant-based sources. A lot of people claim vegans don't get enough protein, stuff like that, but you can. But the issue is you may not be able to utilize some of those plant-based proteins as much as you would animal, because those plant-based proteins are surrounded by a lot of this fibrous stuff. So that's why we do encourage vegans. Yes, B vitamins are important to supplement, but also just overall supplement your diet with some of these enzymes, like hemicellulose, for instance, that will help to break down the fibrous part so you can release more of the protein into your diet. So it's not that a vegan diet isn't healthy. I think a vegan diet is healthy. It can be healthy. We just have to give the body some aid in releasing some of those nutrients. That's kind of why we looked at these different plant-based enzymes. Listen, a lot of other questions here, guys. I'm just going to encourage you, please go check out Life Extension's Facebook page. Holly and Brittany, they're probably going to kill me, but they're great. They know their stuff. Go check it out. Go to the Facebook page, put your questions in there. But also, again, lifeextension.com/webinar to watch this one again and other ones. Hey, everybody, stay healthy. At this point, as best you can, stay at home. We're going to get through all this together. Life Extension does have a great protocol for immune support. You can find that at lifeextension.com/COVID-19. We also have a bunch of videos you can watch. I've done many of them just to stay healthy during this time. Let's see, just in about 5 minutes, go to Life Extension Facebook page, because Crystal Moore, Dr. Crystal Moore, is about to go live, and she's going to share some of her experience and things she does to stay healthy during this time. And she has a husband and 2 kids that she's taking care of, and she's working. So she's going to talk about taking care of the kids, stress reduction, stuff like that. That's 5 minutes from now, Life Extension Live. I want to thank everybody for joining me. Take care and stay healthy. Bye-bye.